now we have our own freestanding Mylar cone. This is ready to fill, ready to use for henna tattoos. What I usually do, and I mentioned this on my video at the end of the third part of making the perfect henna paste, is to spoon your completed henna once it's sat and aged and is ready to go into a baggie, a little plastic baggie. And this is like a self-enclosed zipping bag, like a Ziploc bag. Once you've done that, release all the air, so let the air out, and then twist the end until you've got a little ball of henna down here. This is going to be how we incorporate this into here. And I use a little fingernail clipper like this to clip the corners off. I don't know if you can see that very well. You just go up here and you put the corner of the bag in there and just clip it off. And once that is clipped off, you now have an opening in your bag right here to put that into your henna cone without getting it on your hands. So just put some henna in the actual cone itself. Make sure you do this a little at a time, because if you try to put it all in at once, you're going to end up overflowing this little cone, and you'll also get too much in there. If you get too much in the cone, you're going to drive yourself crazy. As soon as you start to apply it, instead of squishing the bag to get the henna to come down to the point, it's going to back up and come out over your own hand instead of the hand of the person you're trying to give the tattoo. So just make sure you don't put too much. And I'm going to put a little bit more, and then that'll be good enough for this demonstration. And actually, until you get used to it, it's probably enough for you to use professionally until you, like I said, are used to how you fill your bag. And I'm just trying to make the henna go down to the bottom. So now if we were to close this, you can see there's a lot of Mylar left up here. There's at least, a ½ inch of Mylar left up there with no henna in it. And there's some space down here too. So we're going to squeeze the top and get that henna down to the bottom. And we've done that now. So now you've got your henna all the way to the tip, and you've got the space at the top. Now what we're going to do to wrap it closed is take from the side, then all this extra from the top. You could trim that if you want to a little bit so it's easier for you. And then from the other side, fold that over. And what you end up with is like a little pointy kind of a triangular top. And we're going to take the very top of that and roll it toward ourselves like a tube of toothpaste being rolled down to get the toothpaste to come out. And you can roll that as tight as you can. That'll help you keep that henna inside that cone. Once it's rolled, now you can see it's got this little fat edge right here. We're going to put a piece of tape on the top to secure that roll. A lot of times in my videos when I'm doing henna tattoos, you'll see that I place a little lobster clip up here to hold that down. The reason I do is when you're working this bag, sometimes this tape will come loose and the henna still works its way out of that roll up there. No matter how hard you try, you can't keep that henna in the tube. So you got to secure it really well with the tape, and sometimes I'll just put a clip there so it will not unroll on me. We're going to use a little piece of white paper here to show you how to use the cone now that we've created it. First thing is to take the tip off of the henna cone itself, because right now it's so tight it probably will not come through here. So we want to take just a small amount off the end of the cone, and I mean a small amount. You can always clip again, you can never put it back. So always do a little tiny clip at a time. And you can see here's the amount I clipped off. Right there, that's the amount I clipped off. Very, very tiny. So make sure that you don't clip too much. And now to use it, you're going to put it in your hand across your fingers. The rolled end is going to go across to your index finger. Then you're going to put your thumb on that rolled part. And you see there's almost a ledge. I don't know if you can see that. There's a ledge right here created by the amount of henna and the rolled part. Put your thumb in that little notch, that ledge, and then just gently lay the rest of the cone across your fingers. You're going to squeeze down with your thumb against your index finger while gently coaxing it with these 3 fingers. So this would be the way that you would hold it, and this would be the mechanism that's going to make that henna come through the cone. So you can either keep your all fingers like this or do like I do. I usually put 2 fingers on the back, 2 fingers on the top. And so I have a little bit of pinch here and a strong pinch here to force the henna down the cone. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just put the little center of a flower on this white paper. Start with a little dot in the middle of the page. And then from that dot, continue around in a circle. With paper, it takes a little practice because paper, unlike your skin, does not have a surface with little tiny micro hairs. Even though you don't think so, there's little hairs on here, fuzz, and it really helps, like Velcro, to adhere the henna. You also, on your skin, want to stay slightly above the skin, not touching it with the tip of this cone. On paper, I'm touching it because I have to force it down onto this very smooth and kind of slippery surface. So let's just pretend that's the center of a flower. We're going to go around that flower and create some little center petals. Just going around and making our little U shapes, and I have this also in another video called 3.5 Minutes to a Henna video if you want to look at that to see how to make another flower, and it'll actually describe each of the different strokes one at a time. And now you've got the center of your flower. And squeezing again here, gently squeezing here. Always squeeze, push harder here. It's like almost like you're pushing the henna down. And then up for first petal, next petal. Go around and just create your petals one at a time. If you break off a piece like that, it's no big deal. You just go back and fill it in. Trying to keep them in continuous, lines with no breaks. But sometimes if your henna is a little bit too cold, which mine might be a little bit too cold, it'll do that. Make sure it's warm in your hands. Just massage the little bag of henna before you put it in there. Or just hold this in your hand a little bit to get it warm. And we've got a petal in just a couple of minutes. A couple of embellishing straight lines up in here on each of the petals. And it's really good if you try to make your flower petals uneven numbers. It just looks more like a natural flower, and we're really just tricking our mind into thinking these squiggly lines of henna are a flower, because they're really just squiggly lines of henna on paper. And I just do a little leave, pushing down for each stroke. Push down with the thumb for each stroke. You have a leave, and then again, let's confuse people here by putting some stripes to the side and some little curlicues on the other side. And you have a perfect little henna flower. This by itself would make a really nice little henna tattoo on someone's hand. But bottom line is, your Mylar cone is like a cake decorator's tube. It really is the same consistency of frosting, the actual henna. You want your henna to be that consistency. If you get it too thin, it's not going to come out the end of the cone. It's going to pour out. You want to be able to push it out so you have total control. So make sure you keep your henna at a texture of frosting, no thicker and no thinner. And if you put the henna cone together like I mentioned, using your thumb to push it through, you should have no problem whatsoever.